Hello, hello, welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And I wanted to do this video, and I'm kind of getting into two worlds here when I have this conversation. And hopefully, this is taken in the way that I'm choosing to present it, which is to be informative. Yes, my opinion. However, I know we're at a point now where there's a lot of us who really don't respect the words of those who came before us as much as, let's say, in the past that we did. Um, I have noticed that, and honestly, because a lot of our elders and women that had come before us, or our elders, I'll just say that, sometimes they were working from a place of survivor, being in survivor mode, and trying to transition into a modern take on things when they're still holding on to what was presented to them and what they knew to be true. But the world's evolved, it's changed. Some things remain the same, but maybe how you react and how you deal with these new challenges that we deal with in our world today, it takes a certain finesse that might come with the younger generation. And maybe the older generation doesn't always do a great time of maybe understanding that. So the delivery is usually too preachy or overly judgmental. I see a lot of young women say that, especially in the witchcraft community. I'll just pick a community, but in the practitioner, the witchcraft, in the hoodoo, in the magic community, in the practitioner community, pagan community. Um, I not everybody, obviously. Everybody's not like that, but we see it where sometimes people just don't trust the words of an elder. My coven sisters and I joke about the fact that it seems like people want to hear the message of spirituality, witchcraft, magic, spell work, what have you, from like a 20-year-old young woman who has the experience of someone who's 40-year-old, a 40-year-old, or even a 50-year-old. Um, the reality of it is that even as a 20-year-old, yes, you can be very experienced and knowledgeable, and some of us just have the capacity to learn quicker and retain better. Some of us really do. So you can come across somebody who's 20 years old and they do have a vast amount of knowledge because they've just really focused in their short time here on this planet, here alive here, on at least a good part of those uh, late adolescent and early adulthood years, really studying and learning. So yes, respect. I'm if there's a message to be heard, I'm not bothered by who's telling me. So where am I going with all this? Well, in this newer community, um, issue that I'm seeing, and I again just want to spread a little bit of attention to it for the hope of clarity and maybe to help people stay focused. And I'm seeing things. First, it was the femininity movement, y'all know, and we have a lot of femininity coaches, which is interesting, and how that overlaps into our world. If you're watching this video, our world, the practitioner's world, spirituality, if you will, is then you'll first it was the feminine divine. I've had videos about this, and yeah, so I'm feminine divine. I'm not like criticizing this, and now I'm seeing more of the dark feminine. You'll see, it's like a evolution every step with this. So we've kind of the feminine thing. I noticed that's getting a little bit more off trend. So now we're going into another thing, the soft movement for women living a soft life. So we're not going to go with them. Some people say feminine, but they will say a soft life. That's not as highly charged as the feminine thing. So let's get into that and the intersectionality of witchcraft, at least from my view. Okay, so you want to live a soft life. Let's talk about what that is, or at least how it's been presented, because there is no one definition. Soft means the opposite of hard life, the opposite of struggle, a lot of self-care. Depending on who you follow in social media, how it's presented to me, I can tell you what it's not easier. Rarely do I see anybody with natural hair, natural kinky hair. Rarely do I see anyone with locks um, presented as soft life. Rarely do I see women who are not wearing makeup. Now, I wear makeup, so it's not like a judgment either way, but rarely do I see that. Um, and it has a lot to do with luxury items somehow, some way. That's the soft life. Also, living soft means they're not cursing apparently. Depending on who you follow, you don't say bad words. Um, you don't raise your voice. You don't elevate your voice. So that sort of stuff. Well, I'm gonna say this to you as someone who lived this life. I've lived the corporate outside working life. I've had not before I had kids. I was somebody who lived on my own, had my own place. I had roommates. Like I've lived, I've done things here. So I'm just say this as someone who knows what it's like to be a 20-something-year-old without kids, living their life, dating, going, as someone who would then get married relatively. I was like 25 when I got married the first time. And, that didn't work out. And then to date again, still, and by that point, it was still in my 20s, dated, this time with kids, and interacted with men, and just navigating amongst women, and then eventually getting married again, being married for almost 2 decades so far. And then where I sit today, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this concept that all those things, I cursed. I would raise my voice sometimes. I mean, I'm typically not screaming at people because I don't want people to scream at me, but yeah, I can lose my temper. And I'm not going to say this happens every once in a while. No, it happens. But I get excited about a subject. And I'm also from New Jersey, and I tend to do a lot of this. And I'm not talking over you, but where I come from, and I make allowances for where I'm at, but that's really in me. Basically, the masculine things, I guess, right? The hard things, not the soft life. I did wigs. I talked about it in other videos. I've done wigs and weaves and not really a lot of braids because it gave me a headache. But like add an extension and all that. I didn't get into all that. But anyway, the aesthetic. I've done no makeup. I'm gonna just tell you this, and then I'm gonna lace this in with the witchcraft piece. Uh, self-care, no self-care. Bit of this, bit of that. Treat myself here and there. You can do all these things or none. If the intention is to do these things so that men can look at you as more desirable, fun fact, the ones who are screaming women need to be more feminine, those types of men, I find most of them don't even really want a woman. That's one. Two, men who are out here having something negative to say about women all the time. Again, it's one of those conversations from somebody who tells me they really have a problem with gay people. I don't like anybody that's gay. I just don't want it around me. It's wrong. It's inappropriate. It's this, is that. And it's like the more you keep protesting against it, yeah, we know most people who are like for real homophobes typically had tendencies to, they may have not explored or afraid to explore their own issues with homosexuality. And I say issues on why they haven't, they're weird. It's usually tied religion, societal norms, all that sort of stuff. So instead, they just go on a kind of a hating rampage. And I find that men who are having a lot to say about women as well, and negative things, especially when it gets down to Black women, I typically think that they prefer the company of men. It doesn't mean that they're all homosexual, but I think they prefer the company of men. Celebrating the highs and going through the lows, they prefer their men with them instead of a woman. So you can be hot this summer and put that wig on. And I know the girls say, oh, it's not that hot with the lace front. The air get through. Oh, okay. Like I said, you can do all that. Spend your money on that. You can wear nail polish that are soft colors instead of the cool colors you probably would want, or the fancy nail styles and all that. Because I know you're not supposed to do that, because that looks, that's a little too harsh. You're looking more ratchet or more ghetto in that way, right? So wear, muted tones with makeup, only wear lip gloss. I see y'all out there pushing this stuff. So you can live that soft life. Soft life is, like I said, we talk about self-care and things of that nature. Yes, it's all those things. That's wonderful. We put a label on it. It's now called soft life. Okay, where does witchcraft fit in? Because as we started with the femininity thing, I noticed there was a more feminine, divine, and getting in touch with that within witchcraft. Trust and believe what you see with the cottage core movement, which is somewhat a bit of witchcraft, depending on who's looking at it. They're okay with that, but when you marry the aesthetic of like cottage witch, is someone who I am, cottage witch, and the cottage core situation that's currently going on, that's very aesthetically pleasing to a lot of people. So that's where the witchcraft piece can come in a lot of times. Also for practitioners, especially, again, mostly the younger ones I'm seeing doing this soft life thing, as it pertains to magic, is I see mostly this thing where it's which is great to talk about the goddess, a goddess of choice, or to kind of give into spells and rituals that sort of represent, honestly, witchy self-care, giving reverence to the seasons. Awesome. So far, nothing, crazy. However, as with most things, once they become bigger and get a little bit more trendier, there's unnecessary confusion, there's miseducation, and then it stops being about opinion, and then you have people who get on TikTok or here on YouTube and they start presenting things as fact. I'll say this, regardless, save your money on buying these plaid sundresses to try to look like something from the 50s. Just save your money, unless you really love that aesthetic. Save your money. If you was never going to be wearing a wig, but you decided to go to straight wig because you want to live the soft life, save your money. If your hair does not go straight, but all of a sudden, you want to live the soft life, so you're flat ironing, burning your hair out to go for a certain aesthetic, save your time, save your resources. I'm gonna let you know something, because what no one is really saying, but they are saying, is that the whole point of this soft life, the femininity movement, all that, is honestly to attract the male gaze. Lies if you sit here and tell me it's something different, because I'm noticing it's framed that way. Now, if you're not chosen during this time and you happen to be sharing your soft life journey on one of these social media platforms, the idea is that, well, I'm doing this for myself. But ultimately, these are, to me, the whole thing is just kind of disguised as a little bit more, pick me. Look, I'm soft. Look, I'm more feminine. Look, I don't talk back. I'm not loud. There is no power in muting yourself for another human. I don't know. Beat up on men, a human. I want people to give me space to talk and express my thoughts. So in turn, because I would want that and expect that, I give that to another person, whoever you are. Because to me, that's just how civility functions. I don't need a title. I don't need to be in my feminine energy to recognize that and to understand that. That's just interacting. That's communication. If we're talking about gender roles and things like that, to each their own, whatever works for you. If it's biblical in nature, I can't speak to that. I won't speak to that, because I don't live that life. I don't live by the Bible. I don't live that life. So we live in this space where a lot of us are practitioners who follow a pagan path, whether it's, and please, pagan does not just mean European. Pagan typically is, in short, anything outside of Christianity, the Muslim faith, or the Jewish faith. That's basically what is considered pagan in most circles. Let's just be honest. That's pagan. So there you go. Anything else outside of that, if that's kind of what you are, no matter how eclectic it is, or if it's none of that, but it's definitely not those big three, why are you trying to follow the norms and the rules, so to speak, set by the big three? Especially if you feel stifled and it's not working, it doesn't make them love you more. Nobody's saying that. Like, I'm not just talking about from just me and my experiences. Literally, I can look at the people I know, I can look at the people I don't know, and just look. Just look. Just open your eyes and pay attention. Through history, it didn't make you more lovable. It didn't make him stay. It didn't make him not wander occasionally. It doesn't make them give you more because you're in a soft it's a trick, y'all. It's a trick. It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. And it's another iteration of pick me, please pick me. Look, see, I'm soft. See, I wear pink. I wear pink because it literally is my power color. I love that some men are almost afraid of the color. They wouldn't be caught dead in pink because of what it represents, which is feminine, which is beneath them, which they find just so gross and disgusting to be considered feminine. So, and that's okay. So my thing is, all right, well, if you feel that way, it must have some sort of power. Femininity must hold power. See, I'm not thinking in the sense of, oh, like me more. I'm not thinking also the opposite, like hate me either. But it's more like, I notice you seem to be afraid of this. You know, people call each other the P word, right? Men don't say that too. That's actually, that particular part of our anatomy is the vessel, the avenue, if you will, for life and pleasure. But that means somebody's soft. Okay, cool. It's soft because it makes them weak. It makes them weak. So again, back to the power that apparently the feminine body in itself also has. Being female is, that seems to be an issue. So I find power in that. I find power. So it doesn't mean to me, the argument of, well, you can be quiet and get things done is basically a form of manipulation, as of which I'm very interested in doing things like that. And I'm very familiar with that concept. Not even just men you're in relationship with, just men, somebody that's helping you with something. And as a woman, some of us, not all of us know how to do this, but I've had to learn over the years, because I'm a very direct person. So I've had to learn that sometimes you've got to do this manipulation thing. I'll say this, maybe when I was younger, I could handle that more. I felt like doing that. It was fun sometimes. And nothing to make them do something bad, but, to basically bend their will in my direction. To something that was advantageous for myself. I mean, come on, like, don't act like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Things like that happen. However, with that being said, as you get older, you don't feel like doing all that no more. You don't feel, you just don't. I've been doing a dance all this time. You get tired. You get tired of being on for the opposite sex. So when I see more of the same, it's like, it's just, girl, save your coins, save your resources, save your time. Be you, do you. Because I guarantee you, most of the people who are even in the witchcraft realm, who are sort of merging ritual work and spirituality with this soft life, femininity movement and all that sort of stuff. Ultimately, if they themselves are not presenting for the purpose of becoming more attractive again to the male gaze, or being considered more worthy, they're marketing it to you so that you can feel more worthy, or more appealing to the male gaze, to the male, to their heart, speaking to their heart because you're being so feminine. And again, specifically within Black women, there's this push, there's this thing to soften us up. How do I say? It's like I'm trying to, because I am so direct. So I watch it because I don't want to be hateful or sound hateful or hurtful. Honestly, it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing and how they move, how they live their life. If they want to call it soft life, so what, right? What does any of that matter? If they want to interlace that with their spirituality, even better. Great. Good for you. Like, I'm not coming at anyone specifically. I'm not saying don't do this, don't follow the movement. Hey, maybe some of us want to get more and we feel like, I feel imbalanced, and I would like to work more with the feminine energy that I possess. So, I can understand that. I'm just saying the way it's being presented in the trendy fashion, that is full of BS. It's all BS. It's all laced in European standards, which further along the whole ideology of white supremacy. Because when you look at the girls who are pushing and advocating on social media, who are at least showing you their soft life situation, almost all of them are wearing some form of straight hair. Almost all of them are all do the voice. I didn't even talk about that. Can we get into the voice thing? I talked about this in one of my videos because as a 20-something, I wasn't even 20, I was like 18. I actually, a Black man really criticized the way I spoke. And I basically taught myself serious code switching at that point. Like, you would have never known talking to me if you were over the phone or if you didn't see me. I was imitating with precision a white woman, and I was doing so, even taking out my Jersey accent as much as I could, just to add that little cherry on top. So yeah, that was a thing. But anyway, yeah, the voice thing it grates on my nerves because it's like, it is 2022. Just stop. I'm trying to tell you, it doesn't make them want you more. They will still degrade, talk about you. You'll still, unfortunately, for the type of men who are saying, oh, these women need to be like this, they need to be like that, they're not even gonna talk to you anyway. They're not. Oh, and if you didn't want those type of guys, you was looking for a different type of guy, he was gonna like you or he's not. Also, how long are you gonna keep this up? How long? I mean, do you have to do that indefinitely so you get the guy? You got to keep going on this charade, this thing. When are you? Oh, that is the real you now? Okay. Talking like this in a quiet voice and, shrinking yourself just a little bit more because that's feminine, right? Right? Okay. I get it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I got you. I'm going to tell you this. It doesn't get, in a broader spectrum, it doesn't get, unless, okay, if we're going to really have this conversation, unless you are looking, and I guess this is a conversation for non-white folk at this phase, non-white folk, non-young white folk, non-socially considered very attractive or attractive white folk, based on European standards. Okay, you can make your voice like that. You still don't look like that. And those people, those guys out there, we need the women to be more feminine. Yeah, they still hold up that European aesthetic and that look as the thing to be. And they go through, and they still praise that. So if you are not that, and this is actually for people, like I said, and don't be overweight. Don't be, basically, if you are not considered conventionally attractive, you can soften your voice. You can put the wig on. You can dye, for the white women, dyeing your hair blonde, because I know that's your thing. Dyeing your hair blonde to fit into this thing. You can do all this stuff. And, shrink yourself a little bit more. You can do all that. Guess what? You still might not get picked, or you still will end up with an a-hole who you went through all this. You've changed your voice. Um, Walk around this hot behind wig in the middle of summer. But girl, go off. Go ahead. Do your rituals. Get in touch with that goddess, the most feminine of goddesses. Yes, do that. See, to me, being in my feminine energy, really being in it, to me is power. It's powerful. It's the yes, in the way you look at talking softly to make a point, persuasion. I don't necessarily have to yell because that's a lot of unnecessary energy. And I only use that when I need to. But a firm voice, so you know who I am. It doesn't mean rude. It doesn't mean disrespectful, because I know that's a thing, the whole respect thing. But no, just I'm a grown woman. I'm an adult. If you are 27 years old and you're doing this thing, stop. If you are 25 years old and you're still making your stop. Stop. I ain't going down further than that because just stop. If you 25 and up, girl, you ain't because the teenage young girls, they looking at you 25-year-old. By the way, they don't think you that young, they think you old now. Well, you're not like us, you're kind of old at 25. Fun fact. So you up here with the rest of the adults. Now you sitting at the grown folks table, 25 and up. People say 30 and up. No, 25. You with the grown folks now, honey. You're not a little girl anymore. Cut the crap. Use your voice. Use your voice. You want to do ritual work? You want to interlace spirituality with balancing your feminine energy? Rock your hips. Move your body. Get movement in your body. Stop looking for all this stuff outside and validation and all that. No, it's all right here. It's right here. Move your body. Get into body movements that are technically feminine in nature, what goddesses and people who worship goddesses in throughout history have done. Dance, movement, things of that nature. Using your voice, your true voice, singing, chanting. Get into that. That is a very literal and physical way of bringing and balancing your femininity. Speaking with other women in women's circles. If it's virtual, fine. If you don't have a coven, fine. Speaking, sharing knowledge and information is a very divine feminine act. It's been done for as long as we know. Women have sat in circles and spoke to each other and discussed things, whether it was just the local, whether it was just village news, whether it's the tribe, whatever the situation is. But that's a very feminine woman thing to do. The way we work with our sisters, that's really speaking to the feminine divine. That is, which if you do work with goddesses, that's very pleasing to them, by the way. That's very pleasing to most of them. Working with that energy. See, now you're reciprocating, you're giving. It's a wonderful exchange of energy. And that's really boosting your balance and your femininity doing that. I guarantee you, it is not making your voice different. It is not having to straighten your hair or put on somebody else's straightened hair or manufactured hair on your head. It is not that. It can be if you so choose it. But again, I'm going to just say this. How long y'all going to keep that up? We are in a world where I swear people are very concerned. I love me some aesthetics too. It attracts your eye. A lot of times a cover of a book, someone's thumbnail on a YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok. The aesthetic, when I see someone and they're all, the makeup, the background, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's a very attractive when I watch it. But at some point, this other part switch on, and I'm waiting for the substance. I'm waiting for the meat, something to grasp on, the fat, something to grasp onto. But it's just aesthetics. And to go back to my earlier point with all of this, I think a lot of us are searching for someone with decades of knowledge and experience of being within spirituality, of being who they say they are, and somebody who's only existed from infant to where they are now for maybe a decade or so. And not to discount them, but they're still, I mean, we're all still learning, don't get me wrong. But it's kind of hard to, these people are the ones basically leading this movement. These are the ones leading this, the 20-something year olds. And I'm just kind of like, okay, guys, and I don't have an issue with, like, if you were to see who the people I follow, and I've talked about videos like Alwyn Oak. I know that girl. I don't know how old she is, Alwyn Oak. She is, I think she calls herself a forest witch. Love her. She's somewhere in England. And her videos are very aesthetically pleasing. I can tell she takes a lot of energy and time in producing her videos. I walk away learning something. It's feeling the aesthetic part. She's a younger girl. That's why I bring this up. Woman. I bring this up because she is much younger. She's very different from me. She's over in the UK somewhere. She has an accent. She's a white woman. And she's much younger. And I learned from her. And I've been following her for quite some time now. I learned from this woman, this young woman. And she's, the things that she does aesthetically, it inspires me. So there's no like issue with somebody being different from me. You know, I don't have a problem with that, but I can also feel that way and also be very observant of the fact that a lot of you who are like kind of following behind these things, because you keep hearing it, the femininity thing, be more feminine, be in your feminine. You take this as like it's a thing. And I mean, at one point, I think I was kind of buying a little bit more into that as well in the last few years. But if you notice, even that had changed to something else, and it was the dark feminine. And now we're into the soft life. So whatever, I don't know what the next iteration's gonna be. Maybe we'll do a revolt because we're sick of the whole thing. I don't know, but whatever the revolt is, whatever we do, I'll have a spell, a ritual, and I'll be wearing pink. All right, that's all I got. Thanks again for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this. Agree or disagree. I'm just curious if you feel like sharing. Let me know in the comments this soft life interlaced with spirituality. And yeah, let me know. I'll leave it there. Oh, please consider hitting the join button if you'd like to join Leap Taken. And also, did you know I offer services? And I've actually added a new one recently over at leaptaken.com. So go check it out if you want to ask or just consult with a witch. It's not the mentorship program. It's not just a reading. So if you want to go and you're interested, all the details are right there at leaptaken.com. So it's a new service that I'm offering. So check it out. All right. Thanks again. Bye.